Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Story number 1. Legion, written by Prussian Joe. We are Legion. To consume is our nature, our purpose. To advance through the galaxy is our desire. To swallow it whole is our greatest wish. For millennia we had scoured the galaxy. Every star must be searched out, explored, examined, and, should it be found worthy, devoured. With every system our swarm grows stronger. With every planet we gather new hives. The others who believe this galaxy to be theirs are greatly mistaken, for only we have the strength to take it. We devoured the so-called warriors of the Kraxen first. They prided themselves on their pitiful empire. 2,000 worlds, 20 million warriors, 500,000 starships. We took it all. The peaceful peoples of the Strandrilla came next, falling like rotted timber beneath our advance. They had no weapons, but it wouldn't have mattered if they had. We are Legion. Our progress cannot be altered. When we held almost a quarter of the galaxy in our grasp, a coalition was formed. When we had devoured more species than we can count, the other sentients of the galaxy rose against us. Their attacks were many, but ours were more. Their soldiers numbered in the billions, but ours were more. Their starships blotted out the sky, but ours were more. Their screams seemed to go on forever, and we relished in every one. We are Legion, and this universe is ours. The full half of the galaxy was in our clutches. The stars of the core fed our production. Our constructs orbited 1 million worlds. Black holes bent to our will. As our infinite armies pushed into the rest of the galaxy, we were hailed as saviors. We slaughtered those who sought our help just the same as we had removed every species we'd encountered so far. We didn't listen to those pitiful pleas for salvation any more than we had listened to the declarations of war from species long dead. We encountered fleets more numerous than any we had seen, and even as they fell before us, they begged to be sheltered. We are Legion, and death is our shadow. Every planet we took was a fortress. Every star orbited by fleets of alien craft. The signs of war were everywhere, but we did not heed them. There was fear, but not of us, not at first. When we met the humans, it was in battle. Our fleet arrived to take a new world, but battle was already being waged in its skies. Human forces fought Taxian spacecraft high above the planet. We engaged them both, and our sheer numbers overwhelmed them. Our losses were outside of our usual margins, but we did not think of it. The next world we took was barren, lifeless, and entirely unimportant. The humans arrived to defend it anyways. What happened in this battle shocked our empire to its core. For the first time in our long history, we lost. The human battle group numbered in the hundreds, but their craft were larger than any we had ever seen. Our ships are small, nimble hive ships, each piloted by a single drone, each expendable, each surrounded by millions more like it. The humans formed an unbreakable wall of laser fire so precise and unending that for every single ship they lost, 100,000 of our own disappeared in a flash of light. The swarm we sent to take that useless system numbered 10 million, and none returned. The hive minds deliberated, and then decided humans must be wiped out, and all of our production turned to this end. But the millennia of lostness victory had made us overconfident. We thought the numbers would win, as they always had. We threw billions of drones at the humans. We destroyed their fleets, devoured their worlds, and lost more craft in each battle than we had in our entire history before. Then the truly unthinkable happened. The humans stole one of our worlds. Then they took another, and another, and another. Our factory constructs were destroyed, our warp gates demolished, our lines of invasion cut loose. We were efficient, but the humans were more so. We had numbers, but the humans had perseverance. We threw our ships at them, and they danced around our heavy-handed assaults. We had half the galaxy in our grasp, and it started slipping away. The stars of the core were captured, our factories converted. Thousands upon thousands of worlds were upended. Our infrastructure was turned against us. The humans began producing ships almost as fast as we could. The hive minds were unable to understand, unable to adapt. We had a quarter of the galaxy held close, and the humans began ripping it apart. Planets we had held for longer than humanity had been in space were lost in days. They were closing in with no signs of stopping, no signs of mercy. But my people did not understand mercy. We still do not. Even as we see it shown to a few races we enslaved rather than devoured. Even as the humans move towards our homeworld, towards the hive. But we do know fear. Humans have taught us that much. For we are legion, and we are afraid. End of story. Story number 2. Humbling Aries, written by British Tea Company. Emerging from the ruins of the building, and standing tall above the remains of the slain mutant, the Imperial Guard surveyed the area in which the mutant had been killed, checking the dead monstrosity to see if it was actually killed, despite the fact that it was missing half its face. The Imperial Guardsman plunged a halberd deep into the beast's body, twisting it with inhuman strength until he had made sure that the lumps of flesh and gore would have no hope of sheltering even the slightest flicker of life. When his dismemberment of the creature was complete, the warrior's armored form turned to the corpse of the grunt who laid broken against the wall, his body twisted into many unnatural angles following the blast. In the grand army of the human empire, the most feared and respected of all warriors was none other than the Imperial Guardsmen. Standing over 12 feet tall, these were living and breathing tanks of human beings who had been products to hundreds of generations worth of eugenics since their birth. Born and bred with the most desirable traits that the ruler of the empire would need for his or her God. That was even before the genetic alteration and the mental conditioning which eventually resulted in the Imperial Guardsman, an unmatched warrior on the field who could break the will of entire armies just by sheer presence alone. To see them on the battlefield was almost as rare as seeing the Empress herself. Down the line happened to be various lesser genetically enhanced soldiers. Again, eugenics tended to play a key role, as the longer the lineage of a soldier had since his first enhancement ancestor, the more capable he was decided to be. Of course, individual skill and talent played a difference, but it had been long proven that a soldier who had been born from over 3 generations of biological and mechanical augmentation would be far superior to any grunt who had just had his first enhancements. Even then, any random grunt who was deemed worthy of receiving the enhancements would prove to be a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. Probably standing on a parity with the genetically altered soldiers, psionically gifted soldiers were mind of matter, utilizing nothing more than the human brain to dominate the battlefield, rather than the martial prowess and physical power. To Xenos and other lesser species who didn't have a grasp on psionic abilities, these soldiers seemed like magic, tearing rifts in time and space, casting out lethal energy at their enemies. It was little wonder that so many lesser races believed humanity to not only be a precursor race, but to be the form of divinity. Passing through clone thralls, mechanical automatons of war, and savage war beasts, the most mundane thing in the human military had always been the grunt. Typically of unremarkable traits and pedigree, grunts were the rank and file of the human army, ranked only above the xenothralls, which they now employed in their civil war. A grunt was nothing more than a commoner who was given a weapon and armor. Their training was mediocre, and those who served rarely distinguished themselves. Those who managed were either given genetic enhancements, sent to advanced labs to awaken their psionic potential, or given commands. Everyone else either served their years until retirement or perished. The Imperial Guardsman of the story, the 12-foot-tall walking avatar of human military might, did not kill the mutant. With muscles that could punch through a tank armor, this guardman could have slain the mutant with some difficulty. Indeed, this mutant, which the traitor armies employed, had just torn apart a whole squad of enhanced soldiers, and its psionic screams had rendered many nearby psionics into catatonia. The slayer of the beast was the dead grunt. How he did it, how he managed, is irrelevant. The only thing that mattered was that while the beast scattered the craven alien thralls and slaughtered its way through people who were literally bred for war, it was nothing more than a commoner and a shotgun that killed this monster. To the Imperial Guardsman, nothing was more humbling to the demigod of war than to see his common man slay such a monstrosity. As the armored giant walked away from the massacre, he resumed his fight for his empress, for his fallen emperor, and for the many fallen brothers that came from humble beginnings. None of them could ever hope to equal him in strength or speed, but as they stared into the faces of humanity's own monstrous means of waging war, they would always be his equal in spirit. End of story. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I just want to give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 patrons and channel members: Alithia, Barky, Fudic Yol, Cam Maxwell, Caspar Onholtz, White Band 420, Lord Asrakal, Arcalian, and Oakfield.